Hi, folks. Bob Field here again with National Director of Pop Warner, Jon Butler. And John, once again, looks like we've had a very successful Pop Warner National Championship week down here at Disney. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Well, it's been going great. Weather has been a little all over the map, so not a whole lot we can do about that, but we've had some great football competition, some fabulous cheerleading, and the dance yesterday was just outstanding.
I understand that the dance has gotten to the point now where it's a major activity for Pop Warner. It started off with kind of roots that were saying, well, let's find another way to get kids involved, and now it's just as big as anything else.
To me, it's fascinating to watch. You're right, because it's so creative and it goes in so many different directions, and even within a particular performance, it'll start. There was one group that started with the Andrews sisters doing Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B, and then it cut to a hip-hop song of today, and then back to a modern version of Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. So it really is cool.
Well, you know what I love about all this is that it really is encouraging creativity. Obviously, you're dealing with athleticism. You're also dealing with choreography and music, and the kids are getting a really well-rounded approach to bringing the arts into something they love.
Absolutely. It really is. It's fun to watch, and cheerleading keeps getting more creative, too. And the level of competition in cheer just amazes me, because every year you think can't get any better, and they continue to do that. It's astounding.
You know, John, and folks, I've been coming down here now for 15 years, and I can remember back 15 years ago, some of the junior Pee-wee squads, they were always very good, but they weren't quite performing at the level as far as the intricacy, obviously, of some of the older girls. But you know what? Now you watch a junior Pee-wee routine, and it's every bit as intricate as what you see with the older girls.
It is amazing. I mean, the whole transition down the line. You're right that the younger athletes are spectacular themselves. The older athletes obviously generate more strength, a little more coordination, but the synchronization at the younger ages, because that to me is what used to be lacking to a certain degree, and now it's spot on.
You know, the interesting thing, too, John, that impresses me, whether we're talking about cheer or dance, and obviously with football as well, the coaching clinics, the safety clinics, the things that you put in as far as regulations that are hard and fast that people have to abide by, this absolutely sets Pop Warner above any other youth sports organization, the scholastics as well. But certainly when it comes to the basic fundamentals of making sure the kids are safe and they're well coached, that's an earmark of what you do.
Well, it's actually interesting timing, because the National Athletic Trainers Association is having a summit on facing the injury rate in youth and high school sports in early to mid-January, and asked for a letter of support if we couldn't attend. So I just got the letter drafted and sent off to them. And just as a reminder, going through our rule book to put down the bullet points in that letter of everything we require from the first 2 weeks of conditioning with no pads, no contact, and no stunting per se, and all the way through the required medical training for at least one person on the field, and mandatory background checks and the coaching training. It really, I hope it sets us apart. I know we're doing absolutely the best we know to do for the safety of our participants.
And I think with parents being concerned these days, because let's face it, the media jumps on anything at any level where there are problems with safety. I notice, for instance, with football, there's been obviously in the pros much more concern these days about concussions and the danger of possibly lifelong injury there. But I noticed, for instance, and we're going to see that in our championship game, and that's a big part of it. For instance, your official helmet now, Shut, has a fabulous helmet that they're putting out with all those concerns about making sure you can do everything possible and protect young people and from any kind of injury.
No, and you're right. I mean, Shut does a great job that way. The other thing that we really try to reinforce and hope that or wish that every level of football reinforce just as much is the whole concept of taking the head and the face out of blocking and tackling. Because despite the rules that make it illegal, unfortunately, particularly at older levels, is still being taught. And there is a belief, an incorrect belief, that if you make the neck strong enough and with shoulder pads the way they are, that a bull neck will prevent any neck injuries. And that's not necessarily true, because the neck obviously is vulnerable. Helmets, as great as they are not designed to protect the neck. So I think it's very important for all of us to make sure that that players at all ages keep the face and the head out of blocking and tackling.
And I think one of the things that's very interesting, along with that business of the fundamentals and saying the proper way to do things, the statistics bear that out. Interestingly enough, a lot of people don't realize that there are actually more injuries with soccer than there are with Pop Warner football.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I saw statistics recently. Speaking of concussions, the most serious concussions, by which they define missing 5 days, I believe it was 5 days of activity. It may have been a little longer at high school level, not Pop Warner level, but football comes in number 5 in terms of head injuries. I don't remember the order of the first 4, but soccer, boys soccer is, I believe, number 1. Girls soccer, girls basketball, and girls volleyball are 2, 3, and 4. So it was amazing to see football, because I think everybody's perception is that football would be far and away number 1, and it's not.